Hi, James Boak here, and today I'm going to speak about yoga and education. Yesterday I was walking around the lake here in Mysore with some friends, one of whom, Thomas, as well as being a physiotherapist, he's done quite a lot of swim coaching over the years. And as we were chatting, Thomas shared this thing that in the way that he would teach kids to swim was very foundational. And he described how they would get the kids to just be in the water and then to make themselves into a kind of ball and then ask the children what they noticed. Until they said, "Oh, I float." In other words, until the person learning to swim voiced in their own words, from their own knowing, their own lived experience, the recognition, "I float." And Thomas shared how sometimes the kids or the students would say, "Oh, it's like the water's pushing up against me. I'm pushed up and I'm supported by the water." And so he and his colleagues, they would just keep asking the people learning to swim, "What do you experience? What's happening?" And once the learner swimmer recognizes and voices in their own words, "I float," generally speaking, then they become empowered to explore learning to swim much more freely, because they know, not because somebody's told them, not because they've read it in a book, but they know it in their own bodily selves. They've experienced it, and the mind has witnessed the body experiencing it. Generally speaking, I will float. It may be possible for a human being to sink or to drown, but that's not because we won't ordinarily, generally speaking, if we just allow ourselves to float and be supported by the water. And so I love the idea here and this principle that the swim coaches, they were not telling the kids that they would float or telling them that they must float. Rather, they were inviting the people learning to swim to come to their own recognition. And this is what one of my senior Sanskrit teachers said about the traditional Indian method of education. He said, "It is not to cram, it's not to force information in. Rather, it's to bring forth that which is already within us, already within the student." And he said, I'm from the UK. He said, you British, you destroyed our traditional education system. And now we have this very strange thing where we have these things that are called exams, but they're no exams at all, he said. Because what is an exam in this system? You know the date, the time, the duration, the type of question or challenge or task you'll have to perform. You can even look at last year's question paper. He says, this is not an exam. A real exam, in the traditional system, he said, then the master, the guru, would just start the exam whenever he or she sees fit. You only find out if you know when it's put to the test. So in the traditional system, learning or development or the, let's say, blossoming forth of deeper innate capacities is an ongoing process which is reaffirmed, reinforced, deepened, and then maybe, let's say, allowed then to evolve to the next level by a constant interplay of exploration and then putting to the test, applying these new insights, these new understandings. So, one beautiful thing in yoga is we do not have to become anything that we are not. The idea in yoga is we just have to remember all of who we are. So, I like this example of the person learning to swim being invited to their own recognition. And so one way we can describe yoga is as an invitation. When we work with yoga techniques, we are inviting all parts of ourselves to come into togetherness, to be remembered, to let all the members participate in the present moment and experience the richness that comes when they all work together. And when we do this, something that can often happen is that we do bring forth deeper, vaster, further reaching capacities than we might have imagined we actually had. Sometimes in life, we get a real examination, not one that was scheduled, by the school or whatever, but we just get put to the test. We experience a challenge in life, and this situation is so challenging, it's so beyond what we maybe have previously dealt with, that it obliges us to remember, in the sense of it obliges us to bring more of who we really are into the present moment, bring more of ourselves to bear on this challenging situation. And through that we learn and we grow. So yoga practice is about constantly, steadily, in a realistic, sustainable, and to some degree cyclical way, inviting ourselves more and more fully into the present moment. Inviting ourselves again and again to look in ways that reach beyond our habitual ways of looking, and to think in ways that go beyond what we might ever previously have imagined. And so yogic education means not fulfilling the criteria of some pre-existing syllabus, but rather constantly, steadily, patiently pushing the boundaries of what we know, remembering that we do not know, and with this spirit of inquiry, a spirit of wonder and curiosity, staying open to the opportunities of every day to help us discover more of who we really are and bring forth more of our deeper capacities that we can experience when we allow ourselves to inhabit the present moment with all parts of ourself.